Hey everyone, welcome back to the Earthy Goodness Kitchen. I've just returned from holiday and I may have indulged just a little too much on some really delicious food. Actually, there's no such thing as overindulging when you're on holiday. But it was a week of eating pasta, bread, chocolate, and lots of other goodies. So today we're getting back on track and cooking some delicious and nutritious meals. It's also finally getting a little warmer and brighter here in the UK, so I'm craving some lovely, fresh and vibrant meals. So let's get started. So like I said, I've been eating quite a lot of heavy food, so I want something light for breakfast. So I'm going to go for some yogurt, and then we're going to make a sort of raspberry jam, but we're not going to make it too sugar rich. We're going to use some chia seeds instead to make it lovely and thick. And we'll have that with a little bit of granola, and I've got a video on how to make a really nice granola that uses just dates to sweeten it, and I'll link that in the video description. So for this raspberry chia jam, I've just got some frozen raspberries here, which have been defrosted. They don't need to be defrosted, as you can just do that in the pan. You can really use any frozen berry that you like. And I'm going to add a splash of water to the pan, just a small splash. Optionally, you can add a little bit of vanilla essence or paste. Just adds a nice little bit of flavor. I will also add in a little lemon zest for a bit of zing. And the juice of half a lemon. And that's it pretty much. We'll let these simmer away for about 5 minutes. And then we'll add in our chia seeds, which are going to thicken this jam without using any sugar. Now I know I said I wasn't going to add any sugar, but I am just going to add a teaspoon of maple syrup because it is slightly too sharp for my liking. But compared to a traditional jam, that is considerably less sugar. Most jams I think are about maybe 30% sugar at least. We'll switch the heat off now and add in our chia seeds, which are very nutritious as well. And in about 10 minutes time, that will thicken up perfectly. This is such a beautiful color. Definitely going to spill some of this. And that took me less than 10 minutes, and it's healthier, cheaper, and in my opinion, more delicious than supermarket jam. I'm just gonna have a small bowl of yogurt as it is quite early in the morning, and I don't love eating a big heavy meal too early on. And I'm using soy yogurt, which is high in protein, so it's a great way to start the day. A nice dollop of that raspberry and chia jam. Be nice and generous with it as it contains very little sugar. And then I'm just gonna do a little bit of this granola. It's not homemade sadly, but if you want a really delicious homemade recipe, there'll be a link in the description box. Yum, yum, yum. I love how the jam is really nice and tart and not too sweet like the supermarket ones. You've also got the added nutrients from the chia seeds, which is really great. It's great in yogurt parfaits, on overnight oats, or just regular oats. You could put it on toast. Pretty much anything you'd use regular jam for, you can use this chia jam. Now I know I said I had a lot of bread on this holiday, but I am British and I haven't had any Marmite in a whole week, and that is very dangerous. You don't want to see a British person without Marmite for a whole week. It ain't pretty. This is going to be a part 2 of my breakfast. You really can't beat Marmite on toast, especially if it's on some wholemeal sourdough, and I've put a few seeds in there as well, so it is at least a little bit nutritious. The Marmite as well has a good few B vitamins in it as well, so that's always nice. For lunch, I've got a real treat for you guys, and of course myself. It is these Harissa tofu kebabs with a mango and avocado salsa. It is so delicious, and I'm going to show you how to really get the flavor into the tofu as well as on the outside, which can be a little bit tricky, but I've got a few tricks, so let's get into this. For these smoky Harissa kebabs, we're going to start by preparing the tofu. I'm using an extra firm variety here, and we're just going to tear it into nice large chunks. As these are going to be going onto skewers, so we want them fairly chunky, so we can get some nice color on them when we fry them. Using an extra firm variety is important, so that they don't break apart when we fry them. And I prefer to tear up the tofu as you get these really nice jagged edges, which will get crispy and soak up the sauce, rather than cutting it into cubes. Now the key to great tofu is to season it from within as well as on the outside. So I've got some vegetable stock in here. I've also added in some additional salt, as we want the process of osmosis to happen so that the unseasoned water in the tofu goes out and the salted water goes in, and the tofu is going to get lovely and firm as well. And then once that comes to a boil, we'll turn it down to a simmer and let it cook for 5, maybe 10 minutes if you've got time. While that tofu is simmering, we're going to work on seasoning the outside of the tofu now. So into a container or sealable bag, we're going to add some light soy sauce. That's going to add a lovely umami flavor. Then a little maple syrup, that's going to help with caramelizing the tofu. That is optional though if you don't want to add additional sugar. For spices, I'm going to go for some sweet paprika, granulated onion, and some granulated garlic. I prefer the granulated versions to the powdered versions as they don't burn as easy. Then ground cumin for that lovely sweet and earthy flavor. Really tasty. Ground coriander for the more sort of citrusy flavor. And some oregano, just adds a really nice sort of herbiness that goes well with the harissa. If you don't have one of these spices or herbs, don't worry, as long as you've got a few of them, then it's absolutely fine. Next, some corn flour to help the tofu get lovely and crispy. And finally, some olive oil also to help the tofu get lovely and crispy. And also add a nice sort of fatty sort of mouthfeel. And a good grating of black pepper. Oh, hey Mitz. I think Mitzi might be getting hungry as well. She can smell the goodness cooking. And then just simply give that all a good whisk together. I'm not going to add any salt as we have got the soy sauce in there. And the tofu is getting well seasoned in the broth that we're cooking it in. Once your tofu is done simmering, we can just pour it into a sieve. I probably should have kept that broth for a soup or noodles or something, but I just totally forgot. We'll let the tofu steam dry for a little bit and then we'll pat it dry with a tea towel. Then just simply add your tofu to those delicious seasonings. The tofu has been seasoned from within now, and now it's going to get the seasoning on the outside. And then just pop your lid on. And we're just going to gently rotate this tub so that all the tofu is nicely coated. You want to do this quite carefully or else you will break up the tofu, which we do not want. And if we open this up now, oh, it looks absolutely delicious. Look at that. Very exciting. So I'm now going to put it onto some skewers. I had to borrow these skewers from my mum, so thank you mum if you're watching. So we'll just feed on the tofu. I think we'll get 4 nice big chunks on each one. That looks incredible. We haven't even cooked it properly yet. You could also leave this tofu to marinate for a while in this sauce if you've got the time to. That would be really nice. All about layering on flavors onto tofu as it is quite bland on its own. These are looking absolutely delicious already. I'm getting very excited for lunch now. Okay, I've got a nice and hot pan here. I'm going to add a drizzle of olive oil, followed by the tofu kebabs. We'll cook these until they've got a nice bit of caramelization and color on every side. This is the sort of color that you're looking for, as color really is flavor. So once you have got that color, you can take them out of the pan. And then we'll make a quick harissa, sweet, spicy, and sour glaze, starting of course with some harissa. I'd usually add it straight back into the pan, but my pan was a little bit hot, so the kebabs did char slightly, which is fine. It's just extra flavor. So I just gave the pan a quick wipe out though before making this glaze. We'll then add some tomato puree, a touch of maple syrup, and for the sour element, we're going to add in some red wine vinegar. And all you need to do is add your kebabs back into that sweet and sour glaze. Really tasty. Just turn them in, turn them through it. Get them really nice and coated. We've layered flavor in first by simmering the tofu, then with the seasoning coating, and then finally with that beautiful sweet and sour sticky glaze. I want to make a really sweet and fresh salsa, which is going to help contrast against the really sort of spicy and smoky harissa. So we're going to make a mango salsa. And I've just got some frozen mango here, which I've defrosted. And I'm simply going to roughly chop through this. Doesn't need to be really precise. It's going to add a really nice sweetness to the salsa. And then into the bowl. Next, some avocado. Always use a butter knife when cutting into avocado rather than a sharp one, so that you don't go through the skin and then into your hand. Diamond sort of cross section through it here. And then you can use a spoon to simply scrape out the avocado, and you'll get really nice cubes of avocado with this method. I personally don't like having too much onion in my salsa, so I'm just doing this small half of a white onion, but you are welcome to add more. Just going to finely chop it. Then for a really lovely freshness, I'm going to zest in 1 lime. Always use the zest of your citrus fruits. It just makes all the difference. You do not want to waste it. Whether that's an orange or a lemon, a grapefruit, it adds so much flavor. And while you've got the zester out, we're going to zest in 1 garlic clove. And of course, we're going to add in the juice of the lime as well. I'm going to add the whole lime. I want it really fresh and vibrant. Grating of black pepper. You could add some chili. Because the harissa is quite hot, I'm not going to add any. And then last but not least, a good handful of fresh coriander or cilantro, depending on where you're from. And if you don't like coriander, you could add some fresh chives or parsley. Either one will be nice. Or just leave it out, it's up to you. And then just mix everything through. This is going to be so delicious with these kebabs. It's going to be the perfect fresh accompaniment. Sweet, vibrant, and it's going to help cut through the spiciness of the harissa. I always like to leave my salsa to sit for at least 10 minutes before eating it. The lime juice will tone down the pungency of the garlic and the onion. Even better if you can leave it for a few hours or overnight. The guac was quite soft, so it's kind of turned into a sort of rogue guacamole, but it's going to be absolutely delicious. Okay, now to serve up, we'll do a couple of these harissa tofu kebabs. Some of that beautiful, vibrant salsa. And I'm going to serve this simply with some roasted sweet potato. Super excited for this. It looks incredible. This is next level. Oh, so good. The tofu is seasoned throughout, and then it's got a lovely crust and a glaze. It's just a flavor explosion. And then you get hit by that really lovely, fresh and punchy salsa. This is definitely one to try. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, it's time for a snack, and when I was on holiday, I'll be reaching for a chocolate bar or maybe a croissant or something delicious like that. But today I want to stay a little bit healthier, so we're going to go for a smoothie. So I tend to switch between 2 smoothies, a chocolate and walnut one and a berry one, just a simple berry one. And I usually add some protein powder just to give it a little protein boost so that it keeps me satiated. But today we're going to try and make one without protein powder, but keep the protein content fairly high. So I thought we'd use some frozen edamame beans, maybe some kiwi, some mint, make it really nice and fresh and vibrant. Okay, smoothie time. So we're going to start with some soy milk mixed with water. But you can use any plant-based milk that you like, or even just water. Then I'm going to add in my frozen edamame beans. Oh, let's try and actually get them into the blender ideally. Then 1 kiwi skin on, so we get that lovely fiber. Hemp seeds for even more protein and also omega fatty acids. Before we went on holiday, I had too many herbs left, so I froze some of this mint, and that's going to be a really nice flavor in this smoothie, so I'll add that in. Also going to add in some lemon juice for even more freshness, and I think it's probably going to need something a little bit sweet in there, so I'm just going to add a few pitted dates. Okay, let's blend that up and see what we're working with. Okay, let's give this a go. I'm slightly anxious to try it, but I think it will be quite tasty. It's It's not quite as green as I was hoping, but let's see. Oh, that's good actually. That mint is really coming through. It's pretty tasty. I think the mint and the lemon juice were definitely a good addition. Just adds a nice bit of flavor to sort of cut through the edamame beans. Maybe I think half a banana might be nice in there, just to make it slightly more creamy. And then I reckon it would be perfect. Test, test, test. Okay, it's time for dinner, and I'm going to cook a favorite recipe of mine. It is these Thai-style tofu balls, which I usually use a green Thai paste for, but today we're going to use a red one just to switch it up. I made these in a previous video where I showed off 3 tofu recipes, and I'll link this video in the description box. But we're going to serve this now with a nice sort of roast red pepper and coconut sauce, and maybe a little carrot slaw. We'll see what we can do. So the tofu balls are coming along nicely. I've got the tofu in here. I've got coriander, ginger, garlic, onion, and a bunch of other delicious ingredients. So I'm adding in the Thai red curry paste now, which is going to add lots of delicious flavor to these. I've never made this with red Thai curry paste, so this should be interesting. I usually do it with green. So I'm going to give this a good old mix, roll them out, and then air fry them until beautifully crispy. The tofu balls are lined up and ready to get beautifully crispy and golden. For the roast pepper and coconut sauce, we're just going to heat up a pan and add a tablespoon of olive oil, followed by 1 finely diced onion. And I'm adding some minced garlic and ginger. We're just going to sweat this down. You can add a pinch of salt, and that's going to help extract the moisture from the ingredients. Once the onion is translucent, you can pour in the roast pepper and coconut sauce. I've just blended coconut milk with roast peppers, some corn flour to help it thicken, and a little soy sauce. And then just bring that to a simmer, and we'll let it bubble away for a few minutes to thicken, and let the onion, garlic, and ginger infuse into it. Such a beautiful, vibrant color. I'm going to add a crack of black pepper, as the red pepper and the coconut milk can be quite sweet. Oh, rest in peace, spatula. So the roast pepper and coconut sauce is nice and thickened, and it's lovely and fragrant with the garlic and the ginger. And I've got some ramen noodles here, which are just about done, so I'm going to strain them and rinse them in cold water to stop the cooking. Okay, we are ready to serve up. So we're going to start with a spoonful or 2 of that delicious sauce. Some of those lovely ramen noodles. Just slide them in. Just slide them in. And of course, a few of those beautiful golden and crispy tofu balls. Let's go for 4. I'm feeling hungry. I've also got some broccoli. Always like to serve up some greens with whatever I'm having. And we'll just finish this with a little fresh coriander. That is going to be a very tasty dinner. Look inside there. So good. Crispy on the outside, lovely and soft in the center. Whoa. So good. If anyone tries these crispy tofu balls and says they don't like it, then they're lying to you. They're crispy on the outside, soft in the center, and they've got a slight bounce from the tofu and the tapioca starch. And then they're just fragrant with coriander, ginger, garlic, chili. So delicious. And then paired with that sort of sweet roasted pepper and coconut sauce is a match made in heaven. Give this a go, you won't regret it. Thank you so much for watching. If you want some more plant-based cooking inspiration, then check out this video.